following podcast may be explicit. One Joe Young presents Adventures from the Shed, a tabletop RPG podcast. You can find us online at adventuresfromtheshed.com. Hi, and welcome to the Shed for Adventures from the Shed. You can find us online at adventuresfromtheshed.com. The YouTube's where we is now with every episode. Invite you to come check us out on YouTube, subscribe, hit that little notification button thingy. It'll let you know when we put up those new videos. I mentioned iTunes. Find us on iTunes. You can find us at adventuresfromtheshed.com. I will continue to release the audio only of these podcasts so our hundreds of dedicated listeners can continue to listen there. But check out the video because we got all this stuff going on where you can see us all sitting here. You can see things like that could be good or bad on that dice cam thingy we got going on. See all the stuff, see all the things, and see the people. Speaking of the people, we're going to say hi, and we'll start with our keeper. Go ahead and say hi there.
Hey, this is Kurt. I am playing the keeper, which is the game master for this Trail of Cthulhu adventure, The Keepers of the Woods. So far, so good, I think. And
next, we got that guy.
Hi, I'm that guy.
Uh-huh.
You can see, I'm Verge. I'm playing Terrence Cruz. He's an author, or police officer turned author. We are investigating the disappearance and death of our friend, Professor Blackwood.
We got that. I still have the mask on. Awesome. Let me switch that too. But go ahead and start.
This is Chris. I'm playing Howell Lowell, dilettante, but it has an interest in the occult and archaeology. And we're continuing our investigation of our missing colleague and friend in this shithole town.
Shithole town. And I am Joe. I am playing Sherman Rawlings, who is well. Let's just be plain. He's a thief. But he's a thief of books.
He's a book thief.
Fine books, books that are valuable to others. And just recently, in our last scene, he picked up that book, which I am lovingly calling the Testiculus Vigilus Scrotum.
Testamentum Vigilum, yes.
That one. And it currently has it tucked inside the pocket of his peacoat where the others are unaware. But he did leave out the good professor's journal so that it could be found by someone else being Verge or Terrence, who was reading that out as we ended up our last session. So how do you want to kick us off?
Would you say you were a pilferer of paragraphs?
I am.
First of all,
paranormal.
Well, you do have the criminal background. I definitely think it's more your love of knowledge. I mean, you are a greedy bastard.
Oh, yeah.
But you're not like a cruel criminal. You're
right. I mean,
knowledge, you love...
like the way they word this, the concept of the character is underground book dealer. It's not thief, right? So he's just
he's not, he just does illegal things, but he's not really a criminal in that sense. Yeah.
Well, to the point that I will obtain the book in whatever means necessary. That could be legitimate means. If somebody wants a book that I can pay £5 for, that they're willing to pay £300 for because the person I'm buying it from doesn't know, I'll do that.
I assume you have languages as a skill.
I've got one.
Double check your actual other sheet.
Thanks, Chris.
No, just in case.
I mean, he's an author, I guess.
I'm surprised he doesn't have firearm skills. Actually, so
that
blows my mind. He does not have firearm skills.
Where's languages?
Would be under investigative, maybe.
It's over. It's the top left on the bottom of the category.
Academic abilities.
No, I do not. Excuse me. However, I can
potentially
make one up.
Shortcomings on maybe the sample investigators.
Okay.
Which, in hindsight, we should have gone through our skills a little more carefully because the cops should have firearms and you should have languages probably.
If you want, Kurt, I can kind of monkey with this a little bit. No, I do not.
I do.
But I could take could get rid of a credit rating and put one into languages.
I mean, as long as someone has them, which Verge does, we're fine.
Okay,
just
that's
from
good
a
though.
Flavor perspective, it seems like the book dealer should have languages.
But if you find something we're missing, I've been kind of taking a backseat, observing. I'm happy to move a point from one thing to another too.
Okay. From a flavor perspective, it would be nice if you had languages to help understand the book that you just got.
Yeah.
Which is written in Latin.
Yeah.
But Verge, if you're willing to have him help you, we'll be able to get where we need to go.
Omnibus, septibus, we missed the bus, they missed the bus. When's the next bus?
Let's pick up in
That's
the-
Johnny Dangerously.
Yeah.
That's the extent of my
Yes.
pop culture reference. Sorry.
Of course, it's one I don't know.
Exactly.
Shoots through schools.
Guys, let's pick up in the vestry of St. Gabriel's Church, which is right where we were when we finished. Terrence had just read the professor's last journal entry, where she, or the last few entries, she described having had a conversation with James, Hannah's husband, who revealed to her the knowledge that she was so excited about, which is essentially that there is some type of cult or group or sect here in town.
Yeah, he's been put on the naughty list probably.
And I think the fact that he was seen talking to her so extensively while drinking.
And
can you
I'm
explain?
I'm hearing a theme of druid and green man at this point. So, and I'm
The
thinking
Green Man
woods.
seems more benevolent, and this whatever else is
Yeah.
going on is
Well, and so remember,
oppositional.
You thought perhaps Hannah had not quite opened up to you, or you felt like she was holding something back when you talked to her, which was completely understandable. You were a brand new guest on the street.
Like she's hiding her dead husband in the closet, kind of thing.
Well,
I don't think it's in the closet. I think it might be in the woods.
Okay.
And not to railroad all, but you guys noted at the time that,
Mhm.
that she was holding something back, perhaps. So, I think just to summarize for people, we've got an open clue of maybe wanting to talk to her. We're in town; she's close, so that'd be easy. You guys had mentioned maybe wanting to find the priest. He doesn't appear to be around the church at all.
Yeah, I was
so
wondering who
I'm
that
sure.
person that made that turn out of the pub was. The priest walking
Uh-huh.
towards the church. So that
Yeah. My only interest in
which means
in
we're
in
on the radar
priest
now.
would be
Yeah.
why would he have her diary, her journal?
Yeah, because
That's
they-
my only interest. It'd be more of questioning, and I'm not sure I'm ready for that.
And we still have, if you cared about the accident site,
Mm.
the accident site, you know that the police in Princetown or Princeton are handling the investigation of the professor's death.
Plus, their other belongings are there as
And
well.
her other belongings are there. And I think those are kind of the open leads from a game perspective. If I miss something,
Okay.
of course, you guys can do whatever you want.
Yeah. So, do we want to hit up Hannah before we leave town to Princetown, or
I think we
Or get
need
her-
to because, if nothing else, you've had the questions of her husband.
yeah, it just seemed. And now
Unable
reading
to
this,
find
is he
him.
the guy that got slaughtered? Right? Is he
Yeah.
the guy that took the hit because he was
Howling of
sharing
the
too much?
beast. That could have been the howling we heard the other night. So it could have been something could have happened again.
Yeah, who else got taken? It could have been William, actually. No, he was there at the place.
No,
Never
he
mind.
wasn't.
Well, with the gravestones, if it has to happen in threes, and only 2 people have died
It's
recently.
funny that there's 3 of us.
But 2 have already
well,
been
that-
done. So
Yeah, okay. I was just-
So while you guys are in the vestry,
I'm genuinely afraid for my life.
you found the safe with the journal.
Mhm.
You found the bookshelves.
No, to be fair, the journal was on the desk,
Oh, sorry.
not in the safe.
Sorry.
Right.
You found the volume on the bookshelves, and then Joe, when you had been doing the quick look on the desk,
Yeah.
there had been a number of papers.
Oh, the
Yeah,
sermon.
notes for homilies and sermons,
that you
whatever, yeah.
might want to spend a little more time looking at them.
Yeah.
Do you want to do that now?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So, do you have theology? Or
No, we checked that last time. I do not have theology.
evidence collection?
Yeah, the
I think it's
best-
fine for this.
The best I really have is library use, only because, and I don't even know if that applies. It's just papers, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the theology would be good for a really quick scan, but for this, you can read. So I don't
Again, I would say I have accounting.
You love that fact.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to find some financial records.
here's her an account of what she went through.
Well, see, the biggest reason is, for anyone who cares, it's the first skill on the top left of the sheet. So
You don't have
it's the first one I
firearms, but
see.
you got accounting.
Damn right. I know how many guns you have.
And what they cost.
Yes.
So I think just a simple evidence search would, you could read the documents and as I had mentioned, I think they're mostly sermon notes and essays on Christian theology. They seem to be written in several different hands, and some of them are typed, so these aren't all of the priests or the father's notes.
Interesting. Okay.
And several of them you can tell without sitting down and really like truly reading them, but you can
Mhm.
tell they concern self-sacrifice. If you take a few minutes to read them, which I
Yep.
think you would.
Yep. At this point, I think we're looking around.
They appear to advocate literal sacrifice of the body to achieve a higher purpose, although what that purpose is not clear.
Mhm. Okay.
The book itself, Verge, Terrence could spend, well, first of all, with languages and his background, I think between the two of you and Joe, even though Joe technically doesn't have languages, you guys would clearly be able to read language. You would know right off the title of this book, Testamentum Vigilum, roughly translates to the Testament of the Watchers.
Okay.
You can tell immediately without deep study that the contents appear to be mostly records of a quasi-religious order. It's the Order of the Green. Some of the, well, I should say even before that, reading the text itself is difficult. It's written in kind of a corrupted form of Latin and Old English.
Pig Latin.
Well, and some parts appear to actually be written in code. You can tell that it's discussing a wide range of occult, or not a wide range, but a number of occult, esoteric subjects. Does anyone have cryptology or occult?
I have a
I have a cult.
cult.
Yes.
I did have a cult, but I used it.
Okay, well, you still have it. You just don't have to spend. So you don't have.
Yeah,
to
you can't spend on it. Right.
But so you can still do it. Okay, so between languages and occults, you guys will be able to do this. Everything I'm telling you now. Some of the dates of the entries, or actually before we get to the entries, the volume itself shows evidence of having clearly been rebound multiple times. The pages are made of assorted materials. Most are paper of varying quality, but some of the earliest and oldest ones appear to actually be written on like vellum, essentially older, later than papyrus, but earlier than paper. It's clear that the book has been added to over a number of years. As you look at it, the dates on some of the entries seem to match some of the dates on the gravestones, Joe, that you saw, that Sherman saw outside.
Okay.
The earliest pages are of primary interest to you, and they seem to describe a ritual designed to bind some form of entity. It's not clear what the purpose of that binding is, or whether it's for service or for imprisonment, meaning to summon an entity or to imprison it. You can tell that there's something in there about kind of fluctuations of that power over time, but it's really hard while you're just standing here to get more than words that are telling you this. If you're willing to spend a significant amount of time studying this tome, there may be additional things that you can learn from it. But we're talking about 4 to 8 hours of time to really get more than what I just told you.
I think it's just something to bring along for the trip. Skim through during that time.
There does appear, you can tell you have no idea what it's for or what it says, but it looks like almost like the text of an incantation. So you don't know if it would be a prayer or a spell or a chant, but you can tell that there's something like that in this text.
Well, it seems like a lot of gibberish, but I'm sure I could find someone who'd be interested in it.
So I think that is everything that you would find in the vestry.
Although it does become more interesting when matched up with the last entry in her journal.
You said what?
She saw a group of locals heading out of the village, and then that someone, it just says that poor soul, slaughtered in the prime of his life and the howling of the beasts, that there was something, a being that does not bear description, that it nearly made her lose her faculties, and then she ran. I am under the belief, if this is true, and obviously Professor Blackwood has never given us a reason to doubt what she says, especially if she's writing it in her personal journal. If this is the case, what she wrote about Mr. Bucknam, and the fact that we've not been able to see any evidence of him being around, he might be the one who was that poor soul.
I would agree.
She's quite obsessed with folklore, but I'm willing to tag along if it's something you'd like to look
folklore
into.
being real or not, people do
Yeah.
believe in it, and they could have done something to this man in their belief, especially if he was the one talking to an outsider, like she says. And we've noticed they don't like people that aren't from their village.
I make my living peddling in it, but I'm not inclined to believe it.
No, definitely not. It's nonsense. It's poppycock.
It's both pop and cock.
For what it's worth, you may recall that
Cup
William
talk.
insists that he has seen what he called a death hound with his own eyes at some point.
You mean the stark raving drunk?
Yes.
I think he had a lisp at that point. It was a yes hound, but
Yes, it was.
So back to Hannah's or
Yes.
Princetown?
Hannah's first.
Then by handers, you mean the bed and breakfast?
Yep.
Correct.
Yeah.
Thistle Lodge.
Thistle Lodge.
couldn't remember the name of it. As soon as he said bed and breakfast, that stuck in my head. Because now I'm thinking Airbnb.
That's a lot. So you guys will work back from the church slowly in the car. And now,
So there's probably a fair amount of crunching of snow under the tires, and even overcast. It's probably pretty bright out with the snow. Without the sun, we wouldn't be snowblind, but I'm just thinking it's kind of eerie pall of silence over the area. It's a sleepy town to begin with.
so we're still in the morning. Of course, all you've done is go to the church so far today. So come back. Hannah's there. She's just sweeping the parlor, working, changing the linens in your rooms. Because you went out, she thought you were probably gone for a while, so she's taking this time to straighten up your rooms. What would you like to do?
I hang my "Do Not Murder" sign on the door just to make sure I don't get killed.
I just say we just drop it on her, man. Just
Yeah,
power
for
it.
me, this is the point where I just hang back and I'll just kind of skim through the book while they go to talk to Hannah, because this is not my forte.
You want us to tell us the truth about your husband?
Sort of,
I mean, about the Order of the Green Man. What's the father at the church? How's he involved? Why do they have our colleague's journal? What's going on?
Are you trying to intimidate her, or are you trying to? How are you?
I'm just asking questions. I'm not.
Sounds more confrontational than
Yeah, I am a little.
intimidating.
I'm more.
Fine. I just want to know what skill you're using to.
I wasn't really trying to use it. Yeah, I'm not trying to flatter her. Obviously, that would be the only skill I have for the interpersonal stuff. Definitely
I
not
could help out
flattering
with
her.
an intimidation.
Not really trying. I'm like, hey, look, we know something's up, and people are getting killed, so yeah, give it to us.
Like, look,
What's the real talk?
a very good friend and colleague of ours is dead. We find her journal in the room, in the vestry of a church, where it should be in the evidence of the police. We find these entries in the journal that talk about her, that speak of her talking to your husband, and the fact that apparently a lot of people around the area did not like that, and then he began to raise his voice and tell her to stop. And then this last entry, which I don't know if it's just her being frightened out of her wits or seeing something she shouldn't have. But at this point, we don't have time for this. Oh no, I don't know what's going on thing.
Like, I'm not trying to be intimidating. Like, hey, we're not law enforcement, you know. But that's not what we want to find. We want to
intimidation's
find the
all
truth.
about.
We want to find the truth of what happened to our friend.
So I think, given the way you approach it, so she immediately kind of breaks down and she starts sobbing, and she is sobbing and shaking. She's like, "Oh my," she's like, "I don't even know you. I don't even know you, but I'm so worried about my James. He's a pain in the neck, but he's the love of my life, and I haven't seen him. And I'm just so worried about him." And she's like, "You're right. There's something wrong here. There's something horribly wrong in Post Bridge, and I don't know what it is." And the fact that I've never seen this journal, I don't know anything about this, but I did know that he had been speaking with the professor, and I know he had talked to her shortly before her death, and he had been drunk, and I know that he was overheard mentioning a cult to the professor. I'm just so worried about what might have happened to them. So she's kind of babbling and she's crying. And, you definitely get the sense that she knows at this point a lot more of you.
Yeah. Try to calm her down. Get her some tea, maybe.
Okay, so you guys have presented her with additional information on her husband, and have sort of intimidated her, and now are reassuring her. And she just starts kind of pouring out to you, like, all kind of stuff. So, like, she confirms to you or tells you that she believes that there's a cult in the village, and she calls it a cult. She says, I've suspected it for years. She says, but I think they've been here for years, but I don't know anything about them. I think James is involved, but he doesn't share the details with me. And I think the majority of the village is involved in some way. I asked James about it once, but all he would tell me was that it was for the good of the village. And he wouldn't tell me anything more than that. She's just crying, and she's like, I assume that Howe is at this point kind of patting her.
Yeah, rubbing her back or to here have some tea.
this point, she tells you that another one of the villagers, Nathaniel Branson, has gone missing recently, and none of the other villagers seem to have noticed or seem to care about his disappearance at all, and it hasn't been reported to the authorities as far as she knows.
How long has he been missing?
Seen it in the paper, like several days.
Now, who's this other person mentioned here? This Anna Bray in the journal.
What does it say? What does that say?
Perhaps Anna Bray was correct that nearby Wistman's Woods
Might be somebody
could be
from Princetown.
a Druid Grove.
Could be somebody from Princetown. I don't know.
Yeah.
Someone the professor talked to, at least.
Yes.
Yeah.
But she tells you that she tells you about this Nathaniel disappearing recently, and now that the professor's died, she says, I think this may be some related to the cult somehow. And I'm just so worried about James with him being overheard speak
Do you know how long ago this Nathaniel went missing?
Several days, he said.
days ago.
Do you know how long has it been since you've seen your husband?
Was it 2 days now?
I haven't. Yesterday morning, I think, was the last time I saw him.
So this could be Nathaniel.
She says,
But he could be next on the list.
she says, I'm sure, I don't know anything about this cult, but I know that Father Blakely has to be the head of it. He came around and talked to James shortly before, shortly after he talked to the professor. He seemed very unhappy with him. I have a feeling that he's in charge of whatever's happening.
So
Where does the father live? He wasn't at the church when we visited early this morning. Where does he live, the father?
He has a small house by the church. So she's at this point. She also tells you, it's not unusual for James to spend a night away from home out on the moors when he's working, but I haven't seen him since yesterday morning, and I'm terribly worried that something horrible has happened to him. If there's anything that you could do to find him or save him, there's no way I could possibly express my appreciation to you.
We'll do our best.
we could always help find him. More than willing to do that. But my thought is, if this was the Nathaniel chap, and there was the howling at that point, she's not seen her husband since yesterday, and last night we heard howling as well.
Yeah, so he could have already been on the chopping block.
That's
I
probably
don't
not
say
something to
that.
say in front of-
Kind of, yeah, I don't want to.
So at this point,
Well
I'm sure
done.
he's fine.
Well done, Kurt.
We'll find.
you're willing to help me? You can help me?
We'll do what we can.
She says, well, if there's anything that I can provide to you at all,
Not sure how much influence we have in these parts.
well, if there's anything I can give you, any provisions, I would be more than happy to. I don't have a lot, but I do have an old shotgun of James's that might be willing to.
Sure, I'll take that.
This is just an old Remington, but
Yeah,
it might be of some use if you
of course.
find yourself in danger.
Sounds good.
I've also got an old axe, an old woodland axe. I mean, I don't know what you're going to need, but I don't know. I know what
Take
these
what we can
people are
get.
capable of.
An axe. I have heard his head is on the chopping block.
Pay no attention to my friend.
Got an axe that-
I'm actually still just flipping through the book,
Got
by the way.
knives, if I can use
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah, we'll take whatever we can carry. Definitely want the shotgun.
Yeah, so Sherman's just mostly paying attention to the conversation, but at least a quarter of his attention is just flipping through the testicular book and the testamentum, and just
Testicular
seeing if
vagina.
there's anything else interesting, worthwhile.
Yeah, were there any pages that were marked off specifically?
Yeah, I'm looking for things with dog ears and
Yeah.
the little ribbon over in a specific section, page that's worn more than another kind of thing, or a page missing, ripped, marked, anything like
Or
that.
even notes added to a page.
Yeah.
No, to get beyond what I kind of told you already,
Yeah.
you would need to either spend a day studying the book,
Yeah.
or if you have someone has a cult and they want to spend a point, they could shave that time down.
All right, I'll do it. I'll do it.
But it would still take 4 or 5 hours of serious study.
Well, we got time. It's early in the morning still.
I mean,
'Cause we could always go out to the place in the
I was
afternoon.
going to say, at this point, that's one of the reasons I said I'm just going to keep continually flipping through it, is maybe tomorrow I find some new information out of it or something like
Well,
that. That's all.
let me burn the point now and try to get it
Yeah,
faster.
I mean, if you'd like.
Yeah.
I'm not getting anything very useful from this book right now.
I'll do it.
Perhaps.
It's just, if we
You
just
take
want
a
to spend the extra hours now before we go to Princetown.
There's still only probably about 10 or
Yeah,
so
not
in the
even.
morning, so.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you guys are willing to hang out while
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be what, 2-3 o'clock by the time we'd finish that if it's 4 or 5 hours, and then
Oh.
at that point some of the snow and ice might be a little bit more melted because
Has it gotten any warmer?
No.
So,
But it's not snowing anymore.
No.
Okay. At least there's that.
At least there's that.
Um,
Ever the optimist.
Yeah, of course.
no, but it's free. I mean, it's free. Like, unnaturally really cold. So,
I'm guessing we probably didn't bring all the correct clothing for the temperature that we're in.
you are
Having to wear an extra layer.
Yeah,
No.
in fact, in game mechanics terms, if you have skill checks outside,
Mm.
actually are supposed to become more difficult.
Wow,
Because
okay.
you're so distracted by the cold.
Wow.
So if
All
you
right.
had to roll things, it would actually get more difficult.
Even with accounting?
Even with accounting.
Wow.
All right, so if
I
you
was
guys
accounting for the
want
weather.
so you're going to put your heads together because between you,
Yeah.
you have a cult, but you may not have languages or
Yeah, yeah, of course.
languages and you have accounting. So between all of you, if you're
Thank you. Thank you. I love you.
willing to stay at the Thistle Lodge and
Yeah.
just work on this for
Plus, I think it would be better if we were around. And might feel better. Yeah.
Accounting is the best skill ever.
That's why it's number one on the list.
So the main thing,
alphabet.
the main thing that you guys get out of that additional study beyond what you already found is that you are able to essentially translate and learn a ritual spell that is included. So I told you there was something that looked like it might have been a
Incantation.
Okay.
and it's a spell that roughly translated would be call or dismiss horned man. It's in there. There's several different variants on that title, but essentially that's basically what it is.
Okay.
And in game terms, casting spells is something that characters can, if they know a spell in theory, they can do.
Mhm.
You may or may not have to do it during this adventure, but that may give you an option later that you
Okay.
might not
Right.
have had if you went on.
I'd like to make sure that all of us know that spell exactly. Like we have the words memorized.
So if you spend the time to
Okay.
do that and the points that I mentioned, then you will all be treated as knowing that spell.
Cool.
Make it so.
Now we know a spell.
Um,
Would have preferred magic missile, but.
and I don't
Yeah.
think that
Oh, well, she's going to feed us while we're doing all this.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got some gear.
Because she offered provisions and a shotgun and an axe. And
Knives, whatever.
does
I would
anybody have
definitely-
I have firearms.
Okay.
I would
do have
definitely see us, again, montaging this, sitting at the table closest to the
red head
fire.
thing.
Yeah, staying warm. Shotgun leaning against the mantle, maybe. And then the axe on the other side of the fireplace.
Sharpening it.
And every few minutes, you see her bring out something extra, a fresh piece of bread,
I'll take the axe. then.
refresh the tea, and what have you. And then at the end of that, we're all like, I can summon a horn dude. Cool.
Mechanically, one thing happens as a result of the time that you spent with the book. And since you did it together, I'm going to say all of you
Point of saying.
gain 2 points of Cthulhu mythos,
Ooh.
which has a positive and a negative. My understanding, I hope I'm correct on this, is that you can at some point, probably not in this adventure, but if this were a campaign, you can use Cthulhu mythos points to gain cosmic clues,
Yeah.
which can help you understand the mysteries.
Mhm.
The problem is, as you'll recall, learning about the mysteries
Right.
drives you
Sanity.
crazy.
Yeah.
So this immediately costs you your maximum sanity equals 10 minus your mythos sanity points. So if you just got 2, your
Redundant.
sanity has declined from maybe 10
Yeah.
to 8
Yeah.
or whatever the appropriate number is.
The more you know, the further you go.
Exactly. And
How low can I go?
Ah.
when your sanity gets to 0, like your ability to act in a human frame of reference or this world is gone. Like,
Yeah.
you're a blathering idiot. You can't.
But only in this world. Because the other world, you're good
It's
to go.
same as pretty much being dead at that point.
That's right. That's right. So, and I think
Intellectually devoid.
that I don't think you get sanity points back.
I don't
So, like,
believe
It says
you
that
do.
there's wait, where is
I
it?
could be wrong.
Where sanity can be recovered.
In-
It's
in a pulp game, yeah.
but not in a purist.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So in this game,
You never come back. In a pulp game, the characters can be heroes.
Yeah.
In a traditional
You
game,
don't really
the characters
win.
are just
yeah,
characters.
You don't really win in the purest game.
Yeah.
so the idea
It's just how fast you die.
Yeah.
maybe howling scares you in the short term. Maybe
Mhm.
there's this kind of demonic hound. But what you're reading in this book over the course of 4 or 5 hours is about like rituals to bind
Yeah.
and or free some type of
Mm-hmm.
demonic is not the right word, but otherworldly creature,
Yeah.
and that affects you in
Yeah. You don't have to believe it for it to shake your sanity.
right.
Yeah.
I think it's important to think of sanity not as like you're going crazy.
Mhm.
You're actually getting smarter. You're understanding the world more, and because you understand the world
Yeah.
more, and this world has blackness at its core and annihilation at its core,
It has
you therefore
the.
find it harder to deal with.
Right.
All right. Nothing else to get from Hannah. So, or from the book. So, what would we all?
I say, quick. Do you want to make a quick stop to the accident zone, or
So
or
I
just
guess
skip it, go to Princeton?
the other thing I would say is we really still don't know anything about her husband's whereabouts. We're making an assumption.
We assume the sect
But
has
she
him,
gave
and-
us no new information. Just he's not around, right?
Begging
Okay,
to find it.
and that's because we're going to interact with her several
Yeah,
times over the
she might have-
hours.
She might have confirmed
Yeah.
something about the father probably running the
Okay,
show.
and that's
it.
really what I was looking for. It's really just that we don't think she's got any more information. The one thing I would ask Kurt from that perspective, we're going to spend some time with her. She'll be bringing us food, drink, what have you, and she's giving us weapons. Does she appear genuinely concerned that her husband is not around?
Yes.
Okay. That's important to me because she may be saying somebody else is part of it, but she could just be providing a cover for herself.
Yeah, it seems like
Yeah. Because I'm the devious one. I'm looking for that.
it's almost like
Deviosity in others.
it's almost like she doesn't really know about the cult, but her husband may or may not be involved, or it's like for the good of the cow, like, hey, we had to sacrifice stuff so we can have our crops or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, and we have it, and now it's gone to crap.
Greater good.
Yes,
Oh.
the
Technically,
greater
in
good.
asking that, you would be doing this in honesty, and the answer is all of you would agree that she is not a part of the cult and genuinely worried about her.
Okay. Good.
I use cult because that's the word she used, but it could be.
Yeah, well, she said that, what's his name was the head of the cult, or she figured the priest was the head of the
She
cult.
mentioned, said James had referred to them as the keepers of Wisman's Woods, which I think is the second time. I think William
Yep.
Drunk had mentioned
Something about the woods, yeah.
Yeah.
But this is the first we're hearing of the keepers of. I mean, for those watching, of course, Keepers of the Woods has been on the screen the whole time. That's a different story.
Yeah.
Maybe we should go check out the woods.
Let's get some more. Well, here's the thing: if we want to rope in, because we could try to rope in the police force over in Princetown, they might be able to help us out,
Might be
maybe,
able to get some information or some supplies.
or even maybe just some backup.
I think you guys have time to get over to Princetown and still have a few hours before the end.
Wouldn't mind checking out the accident site.
I mean, can we
just to
send?
see.
Can
Like,
we
is her car?
send-
Is her car still there?
Can we
Was it towed?
just send a message or something? Do we need to actually travel there?
I don't. Could be intercepted.
Yeah.
How long would that take to get a response?
I don't know.
I mean, it's only what's normally a 20-minute drive, but yeah, and who's going to get the message there?
I mean, like telegraph or anything.
Yeah, but is that?
Yeah, but what's more
Sure.
compelling, just a telegraph going, hey, we think some shady stuff's going here.
Mhm.
Or we could show them like, hey, look at this, and
Well, they.
Maybe a telegraph
Yeah.
from this little dinky village.
I was just thinking if there was
Yeah.
if Hannah would say my husband's missing, come help. That's different than us
it's
just
almost
saying
kind of how I
something
want to play
shady,
to those
yeah.
guys. Like, hey, let these people go
Yeah.
missing in town.
And that, for me, that's the mystery. Where are the people? The rest of the stuff, as we had determined, is both pop and cock. Yes.
Yes.
We said it in Spanish, so it's pop and cock.
Yeah, I'm just looking back at the,
Move that
quotes
closer.
from-
Your microphone. Get moved away.
When you were talking to the drunk about the various legends, he talked about Old Crockhorn.
Mm-hmm.
He had said that that's what the locals around here call the Old Horn Man.
Yeah. And it was the croc horn man I was thinking of when we learned how to summon the horned man. I figured that had to have something to do with it. So for me, it's more like we just got a dog whistle for a guy that has horns.
Don't really believe it, but
All right. I mean, she probably has some kind of hood with deer antlers or something on it.
Yeah, Hearn the Hunter. Let's go do the accident site first, and then hit the Princetown.
Okay.
while we're driving there, you feel hairy hands and we die.
Yeah.
That could happen.
So you know that
They were my hands.
Princetown, or Princeton, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, is southwest of Postbridge. So you head out that way. And the accident site is actually roughly halfway between the two towns.
Okay.
So it's slow going. You're being very careful. What's your driving pool?
10.
10. Okay, so you have a lot of options here. You're driving along, and sure enough, you guys are looking out the window, and Terrence might have been a little bit prescient because I need you to make a drive skill test.
I do.
With difficulty of 5.
So yeah, I'll use what, 4 points, I guess, just to make sure I'm covering it.
Okay.
So do I even bother rolling? Does it matter?
That would get you 2-5.
Oh, yeah. So
Right. So you'd be good. No, you're right.
Okay.
4 covers it.
okay.
Can
just
you-
roll it for fun,
I was going to say, can you fail on a 1? There's not like an automatic fail. I don't
there's
remember.
a house rule. Some people play that you automatically fail if you roll a 1, which I think is great because then you can't buy an automatic success.
Yeah.
But no, the rules he will make it without.
Okay.
Okay.
So I would have needed points anyway.
Rolled on.
So I guess 7, I guess. Technically.
Awesome. So, regardless of the roll, you actually, as you're driving here, you feel the car veers off the road, and you're able to retain some control because of the spend that you just made, and you're able to. It veers off the road, and you're able to basically turn back into the skid and slide the tail of the car, so that while you do slide off of the road, you don't crash and you don't hit into a tree or anything like that. But you are sure that you felt the wheel
Jerk.
and that you're a good driver, and
Yeah.
something happened that was unusual.
Not to frighten you two, but the roads are not that bad for me. The car to jerk itself off the road.
So do we look up and we see the sign that says "Welcome to the Whistling Woods" or something?
You do not.
No.
How
Okay.
close are we to the original accident site when that
Well,
happened?
so you guys have just slid off the road. So get out the car and look around.
I would definitely see if we hit something. If the car jerked that violently to the side.
I would get out of the car just to feel more safe.
Just to double check. I want to check, around the car and stuff.
So, guys,
Because
you basically notice 2 things. I mean, first of all, with general evidence collection, you actually see shredded pieces of tire, not from your car, but in exactly the same area. So there are pieces of rubber, shredded, and you realize that combined with the directions that Hannah had given you, you're at
Right.
the accident site. Seems like an odd coincidence.
Yeah.
But then also, does anyone have physics?
I do.
Okay.
I have accounting.
There you have that. So, while you're looking around, particularly with physics, but could have found it with other things. So you're kind of shaken that you seem to be at the accident site, but you actually notice, even with the snow, that the camber of the road at this particular point is unbalanced. Like that there's a strange angle in the road that is irregular from what came before and after that you wouldn't necessarily notice while you were driving, but that might explain why the wheel jerked. And jerked to the right.
Interesting.
So it seems to you likely that change in the camber is what caused the change in the steering, and not perhaps hairy hands that someone else did.
Right. Yeah. Anything's possible.
And it would be a
Fuzzy rabbit foot.
accidents in this place.
Right.
If you had failed this test, you guys would have taken some health hits, which is essentially hit point hits.
Yeah.
But because you have such a solid driver, you're able to. He was able to control it. Do you have mechanical repair as well, as a driver?
I do.
not.
You do?
I do.
Okay. So you would be able to spend a little bit of time to make sure that the car is actually in working order, which it is because of legal driving, and you guys are able to push it back onto the road together with effort, but you're not sidelined for hours here.
Yeah. Good.
Now, where the accident happened are there actually woods there? Are we near the woods?
Or is it just kind of on a road?
It's not-
Is her car still here?
Her car is not here, so
Okay.
you do find the shredded pieces of tire. As you look around more, there are some scraps of metal and pieces, and you can actually see there's a tree right there that had been very obviously hit by either her car or another car. It was the collision site. Her car is
Okay.
or
Long before they would have cared about environmental cleanup.
exactly.
There's probably still oil soaking into the ground and other fluids.
Yeah, I mean the grass. It's hard to see the grass, but there's
Well,
not
we have
much
the
to it.
snow,
Yeah,
yeah.
you can tell like it was torn up here by,
Yeah.
by her crash or a prior crash. There's little bits of metal glass, like I said. It's obviously the crash site,
Hmm.
but her car's not there.
Gotcha.
Interesting.
Um,
But we're now several days removed from that.
hang on a second.
Yeah? The car is there. And she is.
Yeah, I'd like to see what
She's
other
playing
clues.
Parcheesi with a squirrel.
What did the police forget or somebody else forget to pick up?
When I was driving, because of the feeling, I should have done this earlier, but because of the feeling of something grabbing the wheel and wrenching the vehicle, have to make it 2 minutes.
Oh, I don't know if I
Let's
can
put that
let
back.
this-
Let's put it right here. It was a
Sorry,
one.
I should have done that earlier for effect, but all right, where are you at on your stability?
5.
5? All right.
Hey, I'm not the lowest anymore.
All right.
Get that die out of there.
How low can I go?
I don't know
How
if it's
low
my
can you
same
go?
car, but That's all there is.
Gotcha. Okay.
Oh, by
On
the
to
way,
Princetown.
Chris, I just want to let you know this.
Huh. Even in Britain? In the 35?
Science is universal, dude.
No, 1935. Seen.
Britain have hot pineapples in the 30s.
You don't know about hot.
In the snow. So we are moving on to Princeton. I think we should say
I guess he's
Princeton.
like Constable.
I like to say Princeton. Does it have a W? I can't quite even. I can't see it. All right. Then let's say
Down.
Princetown.
Need to go see Detective Donnelly, but we don't know that yet.
Oh well, that.
Or well, we might know his name. I was going to say somebody would have told you.
Okay, so Princetown is actually, for what it's worth, it's the highest settlement in Dartmoor, and it sits right between 2 hills, or what they might call tors over there. It's a small little grim town. It's about 1,400 feet above sea level, so you have a bit of a climb to get up there, as is often the case out in these moors and these hills. You'll have switchbacks and things to get up there. It's exposed to the wind constantly, and particularly with this cold, it feels even more brutal
Oh, jeez.
than it might otherwise have felt. As you drive in, there are a few things that you would know as you drive in. You see it's home to a large prison. You can tell there's a large prison there. You also see municipal buildings, the police station, there's a library, you see some inns, a couple of inns, an actual hotel.
So it actually was like a town instead of just a little
That's
village.
correct. It is a larger town than where we were before. You pass by the accident site, as I said, to get there. And I guess, so you guys want to go to the police station?
About how long would you say we spent in the car on the drive?
Well, it's normally a 20-minute drive.
Like an hour.
Would probably be double, if not
Okay.
triple that, and then you have the accident along.
So at least an hour.
I mean, probably 2 hours.
Except for the accident investigation, I'm still going to flip through the book looking for oddities, anything interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
Thinking about how much money you can make. So
Exactly. That's the number one, right? I'm
His
looking for.
accounting skill.
I'm looking
to,
for anything that would indicate to me it's a first edition, the binding's in good shape. You know,
Well, it's written in different pieces
Yeah.
of
it's
paper.
down
Exactly.
multiple times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely
It's old
OG.
school.
Yeah.
The police station, it's a large building. It's got whitewashed stone. It's got a peaked roof. Looks like probably made out of slate or something like that. It sits next to the town green, so it's pretty central. And on the green is a cross dedicated to the fallen people who'd fallen in the Great War, World War I to us. It's got a traditional blue lamp that makes it clear to all that it's a police station. And when you step inside, there's a large desk, probably oak, with a desk sergeant sitting behind it, and he's got papers and what looks like filings and crap kind of strewn all over the desk.
Now, I will definitely be hanging back some because the police in London were looking for me. And that's well over a couple of weeks ago now, so any word could have gotten out. I'll hang back while you guys take care of things.
So I'll walk up to him and I'll ask who's in charge of the investigation into Professor Blackwood's death.
So, that would definitely be Detective Donnelly. Do you have any information that might help us with the investigation?
Actually, we're friends and colleagues of the professor. We were actually looking to get information about the situation.
The detective, he's a very pleasant chap. I'm sure he'd be happy to chat with you. If you could wait a moment, I'll let him know that you're here.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
There's a bench over there if y'all want to get yourself some help.
Yes, sir.
He's actually not the brusque big cop you might think. He's actually a fairly small man. He's got kind of balding, he's got tufts of hair over his ears. Is balding on top. It has a suit on, but it doesn't fit right. It just looks kind of like a dumpy, strange-looking man. But he's more than happy to chat with you and seems very pleasant. I understand that you all knew the professor who died. I'm happy to discuss the case with you. I don't have too much time. I've got a bunch of things on my plate. What can I do?
We just want to know what clues. Have you talked to anyone else in the city, or excuse me, in the town, Post Bridge? We've been there for a couple days now, and it seemed like we're not really getting much from anyone. While we were there, at least the lodge we were staying at, the woman there, her husband has gone missing, and there's another gentleman named Nathaniel
Branson.
He's also missing. I was wanting to see if anyone's looked into that.
You can see that the detective looks definitely perturbed. We haven't had any reports of another missing person or a missing person. First I've heard of it. I'm sure it's just a domestic misunderstanding. If it were more than that, surely it would have been reported for investigation.
Obviously, I agree, but she seems very concerned about it. She's not seen him since yesterday morning, maybe the day before now. I'm not sure.
Is this a Nathaniel person?
No, this is James Bucknam.
Oh.
The Nathaniel gentleman has been missing for a few days now.
I don't have reports of either of these gentlemen. I'd be happy to look into them, but with the weather, we've been slow. We haven't actually been over to Post Bridge to investigate this at all. Really, all I can tell you at this point, I seem to know a little bit of the details of the accident, but the main things would just be that we have some of her belongings and evidence, and of course, her body is at the morgue for autopsy purposes and investigation purposes.
I want to take Terrence aside.
Okay.
So he can't over here. Do we want to ask him that we found the journal that should have been with her? Do we want to mention that?
No, there's no reason for that. The only thing they'll do with that is take it from us.
Yeah, but no, it's not. It's technically not their belongings. Well, they're going to give us her belongings anyway. But here's the thing that calls out the father though of why did he have it, so they could force an investigation of the town. I don't know.
I'm not sure. I say keep something like that close to the chest.
I'm just thinking it because we might be able to rope in some backup with these guys possibly.
That's true.
That's my thought
That's
process.
why I brought up the missing gentleman.
Yeah, but that seems like that's not enough. But this, and then we could bring this piece up.
We could do that.
Or we can do that later. We can check out her body first and try it. I don't know.
See, that was the thing that about before we started using the pre-gen characters, I was going to put some in forensics, which would have helped investigating the body.
I'm fine with you with swapping a couple. I mean, we don't have to use the pre-gens. And in fact,
Not exactly, right.
Trail of Cthulhu explicitly lets you reserve points and not allocate them at the beginning. So that
That's
you can
right.
go
I almost
point
forgot
where
about
you go,
that.
Oh, I need forensics.
Yeah.
You can say,
Oh, right.
I
Yep.
have a point in forensics.
Yep.
Yeah.
Same thing with languages. Like, you don't have to pick that you know Latin. You can wait. So, fine with that.
Okay, so I'll do that. So
Just take it off of something else.
okay, so we will only do one in cop talk instead of two.
Cool.
So yeah, it's like honestly, we can talk to him, see what he's.
I'd rather just because then it kind of puts him on a spot. Like, is he gonna try to lie to us about stuff, or just go, "Holy shit, I need to look into."
Well,
that
I
thing."
hand you the journal, and be like, be my guest.
You mentioned her belongings you have in custody. I'd assume you would give those to us.
And here he hesitates a little bit. And so actually here you would have to spend a point of cop talk to get access to the evidence.
Okay.
He's not just going to show evidence of any case to a stranger off the street.
Yeah, no, and I can do that. I'll spend that one there.
Yeah. So because because of your past and it's just look, it's unusual for me to do this, but I mean, any help you can offer, I'd be happy to have. I'm happy to show you what she has.
Yeah, and there's
Nothing
no
exciting.
There's no next of kin, so I mean, we would probably be the ones to take it anyway.
Right. There's nothing exciting, but when we're done here, I'll take you down to the
And then the morgue, could you, where would that be?
Morgue.
The morgue.
Same building or different?
It's actually at the prison. It's at the Dartmouth prison.
Got you. Okay.
Do you know of a person named Anna Bray?
I don't think so. How do you spell that?
B-A-R-Y. Anna Bray.
B-R-A-Y.
B-R-A. Yes,
Barry.
Barry.
About right.
I spell it with a 7.
Yeah.
I have accounting.
Okay.
Sorry.
If she were here, I would know her. Maybe someone in Postbridge, perhaps.
The prison, they'll let us in to see her body, correct? Or will we need like something from you to help us get in?
I can send a quick letter of introduction.
Okay.
Delivered to the doctor there.
Very appreciated.
She'd be able to help you.
How much do you know about the people in Postbridge? Like Father Blakely.
My understanding, he's the head of the church at St. Gabriel's, well respected in town. 50-something-year-old gentleman, but I don't know him personally. I don't spend a lot of time over there, to be honest. You know, there's a number of small towns in the moors in the area. We're responsible for all of them.
So when were you called for the accident? You were called to the scene? How does that work?
Yeah, well, her car was found in the early morning by a passerby, and it looked like she'd been speeding and swerved off and hit a tree. And the passerby, was heading our way and told us about it, so we headed out. The professor had spent a fair amount of time here in town. She was doing a lot of research at the library, and so we were familiar with who she was.
Okay.
And it was obviously a shock.
Do you know who she talked to in town? Besides the people at the library, possibly?
No, I mean, here in Princetown, she spent most of her time in the library.
So normally when you get, the passerby, any information off of them besides just the call?
They just found the car. They didn't know who she was. That's really it. They took the wreckage from the accident site to a local garage, and the mechanic didn't find any evidence of tampering with the vehicle in any respect. There's nothing unusual.
Would there be any reason why Father Blakeney would have any of her belongings with him?
The professors?
Yeah, we found her journal at the church.
I know absolutely nothing about how she might have known.
You guys care if I stir some trouble?
Have at it.
I want to give him just either read him or show him the last couple entries.
Okay.
Don't make us summon the horned man.
How many points do you have left in assess honesty between you?
I don't have any. I
I've got
didn't start
one.
with any. Yeah.
Um,
Now
I do it flatterly. I make it be like, man,
I don't know if
I heard you were
helps
the best guy in
if
this
we're
part."
if we're getting information from him that we want. I do have bargain if that helps at all. And I don't know what we have to bargain with other than giving him more information about stuff he's not familiar with.
Yeah, I mean, it might be something he doesn't even
But-
want to deal with. I don't even want to deal with that craziness, that
Yeah.
could be possibly going on in that town.
But that between bargain, reassurance, streetwise, I don't know what you have there for anything that we might be working with.
You have reassurance?
I do, yeah. I have 2 points of reassurance.
So you can spend a point of reassurance?
Yeah.
So you assure him that, like, you guys are sincerely trying to solve what happened to her, if anything, that you sincerely believe that there's something unusual going on?
Yeah.
Plus
and
the
Well, she is.
plus
she was,
Hannah's husband's missing. It's kind of
She was a dear friend to each of us for different reasons,
Yeah.
and it's very important that we get to the bottom of this.
Right.
Our concern
Right.
is genuine, so.
So, people are talking about the hairy hands legend, and he's like, that's silly. I don't think this accident was just caused by someone speeding on the road. But when you talk with him further, he feels like there was something unusual about the accident. He just can't put his finger on what it is. But he also, when you show him these journals, this is like totally news to him, and he has no idea what this is about. And as a detective, his curiosity is piqued, and now he's interested in what he just read.
Okay.
Interesting.
Guess we'll see what's up with the body,
So you
maybe.
think something was weird about the accident, but he doesn't know what yet, and he knows that the car wasn't tampered with. That's all he's got. He also tells you that this case has not had his full attention yet because he's got other things going on as well, and this is just a car accident as far as he's concerned.
Right.
So obviously this is new evidence which might change his focus, but he's not been focused on this around the clock.
Okay.
Okay.
But if you want to go down, I can take you down and show you what she had
Yep.
in possession.
Yep.
And since you had the cop talk, I spent the point on that. He'll take you down to the evidence file, small room. The sergeant down there returns with a box. Doesn't have a lot in it, but it had some items that were found in her car, as well as some that were collected from her room at the lodge. There's several items of clothing. Some were torn, dirty, and bloodstained. Obviously, what she was wearing at the time of her death. Others appear to have come from either her steamer trunk or from her drawer back at the lodge. There's a pair of broken wire-rimmed spectacles that are speckled in blood. There's a silver pen in a leather case. There's a library card for the Princetown Library. And there's an engraved cigarillo case and some items of jewelry. You guys suspect that several of those were things that were left behind at the lodge. Probably her jewelry and cigarette case came from there. The fact that she left them confirms what Hannah had told you, which is that she must have been in a hurry to leave, because normally she would have those things probably with her.
Right.
I definitely want to take the pen. Since I write, notes all the time, I'm going to start using that, kind of like in her memory.
I can only imagine that she was in a hurry to come here to maybe inform you of what we just informed you of.
Are there cigarettes in the case?
There are.
I'll take that.
The case.
Yeah. I quit smoking a while ago. Now, by take, I mean no one should see me take the case.
I gotcha.
If I need to have any filch use on that,
In
Yeah.
the police station?
I'm happy to do it.
Are you just needing a nicotine fix?
I want it. It's a certain thing her and I used to do over a smoke.
Well, I was going to say,
What?
I have a feeling you
Pervert.
passed at this point.
Accounting.
They'll
Yeah.
probably release the evidence to you, although it doesn't really matter.
So I will ask them if it's okay for me to keep the thing I just stole.
So
We're getting
do that,
stuff
and then,
anyway.
we just need to get the
Letter.
letter
Go
to
to the
the prison from him,
Yeah, and so the detective will write out a very quick handwritten note.
Oh.
and then we'll start heading that way. But I mean, we got a couple minutes left, but it'd be a good place to kind of wrap things up.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind getting to the morgue if we could
Mhm.
get a little,
Yeah.
just a little clue. Yeah, just a little
Okay.
cliffhanger.
Now, actually, why don't we take a couple minutes and talk about how, instead of going into the morgue, to that, let's talk about how some of the structure of Trail of Cthulhu works. It works off of scenes, right? So each of these times we've gone from one place to another, we're in a scene.
Right.
And Kurt, do you want to describe a little bit about how that works in the game?
Yeah, so it's interesting. The scenes, everything has a scene with one or two core clues, and those are the clues that you have to get that lead you to another scene.
Mm-hmm.
And so what's interesting, not to ruin anything for people out there, but we're actually doing a lot of it backwards from
Yeah.
the way that it's written in the book, which doesn't mean the book is telling you to do it A, B, C, D.
No, it actually tells you all the scenes, and you can kind of jump between them, and there are logical paths. Think of a flow chart.
Right.
There are logical paths where you can get from A to D. You don't have to go A, B, C, D. You could go A, D, and then back to B sometimes,
But
right?
because a book has pages,
Yeah.
when you read a book or a PDF, a 30-page one, you have to read something first.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I read police station,
Mm.
prison, drunk guy bar,
Yeah.
church, let's
Yeah,
say.
right.
And so you guys are basically doing the reverse of that. Totally fine, and in fact, in there it specifically says if they want to go talk to the drunk 1st
Mhm.
discourage them.
Right.
But if you would come to the police station first, one of the core clues that you would notice is when you got the evidence, the
Journal.
journal wasn't there.
Yeah.
So now you
Yeah.
have to look out for her journal. Whereas you guys kind of stumbled into the journal early
Mhm.
and got a bunch of information that you might not have gotten to until later.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
All right.
It's just interesting. And if I had had a little bit more time to prepare, I would have just done each scene as an index card. And just when you said, oh, we're going to prison, I would have pulled that index card.
Yeah.
And just been able to move it. But
Cool.
it's fine.
Yeah, I really like the way the game plays out in that perspective. You're in a scene, and when you've, I guess for lack of a better word, when you exhaust the scene, when you're done with everything that it allows, it gives you a path to move on to another based on how the characters have reacted to the scene.
Yeah, I do think in the way that you guys are doing it, you get a little bit more information earlier.
Mhm.
About the journal gives a lot of information.
Yeah.
Whereas, and so now I think some of what you will find in Princetown is maybe a little anticlimactic, but it's fine because that's the way the world works. You're just getting pieces of information to put together to
Yeah.
figure out where you ultimately need to go.
And see, to me, the interesting part is since you read it ahead of time, it may seem anticlimactic to you, but to me, it's like, this is cool.
Yeah.
We're getting new stuff, right?
Yeah.
Good, and I think that's the way the game is designed.
Yeah.
And you guys are, I'm pushing you, particularly since it's a one-shot, to use all the point spends. So
Oh,
you guys
right.
are getting all the extra flavor information
Yeah.
that not everyone necessarily would do. And if your keeper didn't, in some cases, push you to do it, you can
Yeah.
slide right by. But to me, the story's a lot more fun when you get the stuff about the Green Man.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I like that to that point, when you're in a scene, Kurt mentioned core clues. Core clues are the ones you get without any spend. It's something that says, these are the most important pieces of the scene. You're going to get them. This is what drives the story forward. But then there's a lot of other stuff that can happen. One example that they put in one of the adventures I had read early on was, you can determine all the stuff in the scene, and then if you happen to spend a point in, I think it was gather evidence or evidence collection at the time, something, it was you would notice that the brake lines in the car were cut before you drove off, right? But you're going to drive off anyway, and you're moving on to the next scene. Well, the question is, do you come into the next scene without brakes, or do you come into the next scene knowing you have no brakes? Right, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's cool. I really like it.
Yeah.
It's really a storytelling game. And
Yeah.
much more than the mechanics. And you may have almost no combat in
Yeah.
some of these, but if you enjoy the investigation story,
Yeah, it's cool stuff. I like it.
so
So
we probably have
we have some more.
2 more sessions
Yeah.
to be done this one, I would guess.
Sounds good.
So we're gonna call it a day here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we can do that. So for that, we can all say
See you.
bye.
The preceding podcast was brought to you by One Joe Young. You can find us online at adventuresfromtheshed.com.